You look at all the big companies. That is about performance. This company done exceedingly well in different areas, but those are the outcome of the strategy the board or some people took, right? Why Pepsi is Pepsi? Why Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola? Why Virgin couldn't survive in Bangladesh? All these are part of the strategies. So obviously we are talking about the leadership, people who actually lead. This is what we call as a strategic leadership. So what they try to do is basically create a competitive advantage. Now all these little terms, যেসব term আমরা এখানে use করব, it will going to come back again. So I'm going to explain those. So even if you don't get it right now, don't get puzzled, because the question is, what is competitive advantage, right? It's going to come in 2 pages down. I'm going to tell you about what is competitive advantage. But the point is, the leaders, they're going to create the competitive advantage through the strategy making process. All right, that is a process they will go through, which is how they're going to come up with a strategy, and they will formulate the strategy. So the strategy they will take is based on the internal and external environment. They're two different things. আপনারা তো SWOT অনেক সময় you're familiar with, I believe. Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. We're going to discuss this in detail in the chapters. But when you formulate a strategy, how the company should move forward, these are the things that you definitely look into. Formulate the strategy. All right. And then, of course, you need to implement. As I said, it is about actions. It is about how you ensure that that strategy is actually in place so that the company can act on it. So that's putting strategy into actions. So when you have some effective strategies, as I give an example of Coca-Cola, bolen, Amazon, bolen, Tesla, bolen, Facebook, bolen, all these got effective strategy that actually had some tangible output. All right. So they can do two things. Either they will impact your profitability, or it will influence your profit growth. If you know, if I explain the distinction between these two in a two contrasting example, মনে করেন আপনার একটা shop কিনলেন, small shop, and you got some proceeds, আপনার profit হলো. If you consume it, whatever the profit that you get is profitability, right? So you run the business and you got some profit, which is profitability, which we know as ROIC, return on invested capital, because you invested on that shop and then you're getting the return, right? You can also do other thing. আপনি এটাও করতে পারেন যে আপনি প্রফিটটা কনজিউম না করে ওইটা নিয়ে বেসিক্যালি আপনি আরেকটা শপ কিনলেন. What does it do? It basically increase your profit growth ensure করলো business-এর, right? So it's not as such as profitability, but it actually can also influence by increase, the growth potentials, profit growth বাড়াতে পারলো. এটা যদি আপনি একটা big corporate perspective চিন্তা করে দেখেন, Facebook, they got lots of profit. We know this. But what do they do with the profit? So what they do is basically they basically reinvest on innovations. যেমন ধরেন, like Microsoft got 360 now. So you can download it, you can get the upgrade straight away, right? That is a versioning. That's a new version. Apple যেরকম মনে করেন, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I don't know. I lost track of it. Imagine all the different versions they're coming up with every year. This is basically investing money on it. এটা তো টাকা invest করছে, right? And what is that? That is a profit growth. That is ensuring the company is actually growing in future. So আপনি যখন strategy নিচ্ছেন, either it will influence your profit, you will have better profit, bigger profit, or it will influence your profit growth. You have a profit potential is going to increase. Tesla মনে করেন is your lifetime when you're a student. আপনি যদি 7-10 বছর আগে কথা চিন্তা করেন, Tesla was not really as big company as it is right now, but it became big, right? It's a big company. It's one of the major technology company. I think it became one of the richest. So this is the strategy these companies, these people, they take. Either you influence your profitability or profit growth. But all these will then lead to shareholders' value, right? Imagine Facebook when it started, আপনার একটা share price কতটুকু হতো, মানে কতটুকু আর হবে, But now, can you imagine? It's expensive, right? Because the shareholders' value, worth, increased over a period of time. So that is what strategy does. So effective strategies we translate into these two things. Are you following me? আপনারা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. So, among all the people who are involved with the company, people who actually give you loan, they are somewhat, safeguarded because মনে করেন ব্যাংক লোন দিল, ব্যাংক লোন যদি ফেরত না দেওয়া হয়, well, other than exceptions, the rules are bank is going to own your company if you don't pay back, right? So they have some sort of security in it. But imagine the co-founders, যারা founding থাকে, যারা হচ্ছে কোম্পানিটা স্টার্ট করে, what they put in is called risk capital, because ওরা যে business invest করলো, I mean the big, the pioneers, the people who actually started the business, they cannot guarantee the profitability, right? Because it's an idea they're working on. So ওদের যে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট ওইটাকে আমরা বলি রিস্ক ক্যাপিটাল, বিকজ ইটস এ রিস্ক ক্যাপিটাল। ইউ নেভার নো দ্যাট whether you're going to get the earning or not. I mean, whether you're going to get the return or not. So that's why it's called risk capital. Then of course we spoke about shareholders value just slide before, right? What is shareholders value? Return that shareholders earn from purchasing a share of a company. So এটা হচ্ছে খুবই ফ্ল্যাট। আমি যদি আপনাকে কোনো definition দিই, you buy a share of any companies, you buy an ownership, and that's the shareholders value, as we know, right? Profitability, we also mentioned, is the return a company makes on a capital investment on an enterprise, right? So that's what it is. That's the profitability. So the return that we expect.
স্যার ভ্যালুটা কি সবসময় স্যার টেনজিবল হিসেবে চিন্তা করতে হবে নাকি স্যার আমরা এটাকে ইনটেনজিবল করতে পারি স্যার?
Actually, however you look at it, it will come to a tangible value. যেমন ধরেন, মনে করেন, as you know, that Aki's বিড়ি already been sold, right, to Japan,
Yes.
Quebec, right? এখন দেখেন আকিজ যে নামটা, এই নামটা আমাদের কাছে যতই ফানি মনে হোক, এর নামের অ্যাকচুয়াল ভ্যালুয়েশন ছিল $1.5 million, দ্য নেম অফ ইট। সো এইটাকে আপনি ট্যাঞ্জিবল বলবেন নামটাকে? ইটস নট ট্যাঞ্জিবল, বাট ইট গট এ ট্যাঞ্জিবল ভ্যালু বিকজ আকিজ, এভরিওয়ান নোজ দ্যাট ইজ এ ট্যাঞ্জিবল ভ্যালু টু দিস, রাইট? কোকা-কোলা যদি হঠাৎ করে নতুন একটা ড্রিঙ্কস নিয়ে আসে, why people got more faith on it? অ্যাপল যখন প্রোডাক্ট নিয়ে আসে, মানুষের ফেইথ কেন থাকে? বিকজ is a brand value. Does it have any tangibility to this? Yes and no. No, because I don't see it. Yes, because it will translate to money. যখন অ্যাপলের ব্র্যান্ডিং আসবে, of course everyone will pay. So most of the time আপনি যখন shareholders value চিন্তা করবেন, it will translate to the tangibility. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So what is profit growth? The increase in net profit over time. That's why I give an example of two. একটা হচ্ছে শপও যদি আপনি প্রফিটটা নিয়ে আরেকটা শপ খুলেন, দ্যাট ইজ এগেন ইনক্রিজ অফ নেট প্রফিট ওভার টাইম। আর যদি আপনি মাইক্রোসফট হন, ইউ রিইনভেস্টিং অন দ্য ইনোভেশনস, দ্যাট ইজ এগেন ইনক্রিজ প্রফিট ওভার টাইম। সো প্রফিট গ্রোথ অ্যান্ড প্রফিট, টু ডিফারেন্ট থিং। বাট ইফেক্টিভ স্ট্র্যাটেজি ইজ লিঙ্ক উইথ বোথ। আপনি স্ট্র্যাটেজি প্রফিট গ্রোথের জন্য নিতে পারেন, আপনি স্ট্র্যাটেজি প্রফিটেবিলিটি বাড়ানোর জন্য নিতে পারেন। But either way, it will come to the shareholders' value, which you just asked whether it's tangibility to this. Yes, shareholders' value ultimately will be impacted. I mentioned about the competitive advantage just a while ago. Competitive advantage. When I mentioned about the leadership, what is competitive advantage? The achieved advantage over rivals when a company's profitability is greater than the average profitability of the firms in the industry. Now remember, আপনার কাছে one of the greatest idea থাকতে পারে, one of the greatest ideas in the world, but if you cannot convince customer to buy your product, it means nothing. Plain and simple. There has to be an outcome. Remember, for life, there has to be an outcome. Outcome না থাকলে এটার কোনো মিনিং নাই। So Coca-Cola, let's imagine this, they got a secret recipe. এরকম বহু রকমের রেসিপি বের হয়েছে লাইফে, বহু, thousands, hundreds of thousands, but Coca-Cola ultimately managed to survive, and they actually achieved through the profitability. It was translated because consumer loves it. Manush kine Coca-Cola, yes. So you see, that's the tangibility part, and it's also how the company achieved the competitive advantage. They achieved the advantage over rivals through the greater profitability they have, and that profitability indicates the tangibility because customers are willing to pay for it. Pepsi, they got the competitive advantage. Why? Because of course they are above average profitability compared to other beverage. Like for example, আমি ভার্জিনের কথা বললাম একটু আগে, চিন্তা করে দেখেন, ভার্জিন is a global brand as we know, right? And it was there. আমি যদি 4-5 বছর চিন্তা করি, there. Yes, go on.
Sorry for interrupting. Sir, are you recording the class?
No, unfortunately I'm not. I'm very sorry. I'm going to give you this recording anyway. আমরা অন্য একটা ক্লাসের চ্যাপ্টার 1 আপনাকে আমি দেব. There is a problem because somebody actually one of you reminded me. You're absolutely right, because this is my personal Google account, so it's got a bit mixed up. So আমাকে যেটা করতে হবে, I will open the classroom first. I will send you the link to go to the classroom. Once you sign up there, I'm going to put my other that classroom link. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good.
How are we going to get the slides?
You're gonna get it. আমি আপনাদেরকে এই মুহূর্তে এক্ষুনি দিচ্ছি না. What I'm going to do, I will create a classroom first. Classroom দিলে, then I will actually give you in the classroom and in the Canvas as well. আমি দুটোতেই আপলোড করবো. Canvasটা আস্তে আস্তে একটু সময় নিচ্ছে, I know, because you see it's a very new thing, right? Any new thing will actually take some transition. So you will go through some transitions. I'm equally sympathetic because I'm facing the same trouble. আপনাদের যেরকম trouble হচ্ছে আমারও হচ্ছে. When I used to teach in abroad, I used Blackboard. I never used this one, Canvas. But that's fine. I mean, it's a learning for all of us. So I'm going to do both parallel. আমি আপনাদের ক্লাসরুমও দিয়ে রাখবো so that you don't miss out.
Sir, এটাই best হবে.
Sir,
Yes, go on.
sir, are there any recommended books for this course?
Of course, there will be a
Sir,
book for it. I will
Sir,
let.
could you please, sir, could you please let us know?
Sure, I understand. Any other questions? No. Good. All right, let's continue. So that is what we say as a competitive advantage, right? Imagine Virgin is a global brand, right? It was there in Bangladesh. Bangladesh ছিল কয়েক বছর আগে, but then it's disappeared. Well, maybe it's not disappeared, or maybe it disappeared. I don't know. I haven't checked. But last time I checked, I don't see it anywhere. Not as it was 10 years ago. So you see, they couldn't survive. It doesn't matter whether you got a bigger brand or not, but the idea is some companies will achieve the competitive advantage. Coca-Cola managed to do that. After technology company chinta korle, Apple did it, IBM did it. All the name that you see, they are the one who actually achieved the competitive advantage. What is the advantage? How you can achieve it? We're going to talk about this later. But understand the distinction that they achieve the competitive advantage. If you go to the footwear, Nike got it, Adidas got it, but not as close as Nike, but they got it, right? আপনারা যদি consumer electronics চিন্তা করেন, Sony got it, Samsung got it, right? So all these are Philips, yes. So these are the company that we know because they have the above average profitability compared to their rivals. They got the competitive advantage. And there is a term called sustained competitive advantage. Many companies manage to sustain for a very long time. It's not one shot, not that you just made profit for 1 year and that's it, you disappeared. They actually went on for years after years. Think about Coca-Cola, hundreds of years. Microsoft, close to 100 years. Well, not really, but they're good. Apple, long time, right? IBM, all these are sustained competitive advantage. They sustained the competitive advantage they had. It's not a simple thing, isn't it? আপনি যদি চিন্তা করে দেখেন যে একটা ইনোভেশন কেউ আনলো, বাকিরা কপি করবে, but sustain করতে পারা is a different thing, because you have to have this continuity of innovations and so how you know about the customer very well. Gillette, just think চিন্তা করে দেখেন, what big technology are we talking about? It's just a razor, it's nothing. But is there any company can compete? Wilkinson, maybe, not really, but ওদের মতো কেউই compete করতে পারে না. How is it even possible? Like a simple technology. Apple, I understand, is a complex one, but Gillette to কোনো complex technology na, but they still cannot, because Gillette keep on coming up with a new thing, right? So they sustain the competitive advantage they had. That is what we mean by sustained competitive advantage. So obvious question is business model. What is the business model? আপনি যদি আমাকে বলেন, I'm going to start my own business tomorrow. It's not a business model, right? What are you going to start with? I'm going to have my own technology company. What does it mean? I'm going to have my own phone company. What does it mean? I'm going to have some phone that have something. Maybe, like a OnePlus, a cheaper phone. Now that is something. That is a strategy. You're saying something. A strategy. Once you have the strategy, which means that you have a potential to achieve the competitive advantage. And that is business model. You get my point? আমার কথা বুঝতে পারছেন?
Yes, sir. So it's like having a unique characteristic or something.
Exactly. You need to have something. So when you say we have a business, this means nothing. There is no business model in it. When you say business model, you need to have a clear idea that what are the strategy you are putting in place that will ensure that you will have profitability, right? Then you have business. Otherwise, you have ideas, which means nothing. So when you talk about a business model, generally speaking, these are the things that you're supposed to think about. The customers. Who are the customers? Define and differentiate the product offering. The product that you're offering, how is that create the differentiations? How do you define it? You know what I mean? So that has to be a differentiation. There has to be a clear definition of the product that you're offering. You have to create value for the customer. Remember, it's plain and simple. Why customer will pay for it? There must be some value addition. Customer জন্য তো কোনো value addition না হয় customer কোনো product কিনে কেন, right? So there has to be value for the customer. What is that value for the customer? Acquire and keep the customer. How you will ensure you're not only going to acquire your customer, you're also going to keep. All right. Now, there is also an importance of produce goods and services. You have to produce something. That are goods and services. কিছু produce করতে হবে. If there is no thing, then there is no business. There has to be something, whatever that is. Even if it's a lip service, like you give consultancy, let's say. But, I don't mean consultancy all our lip service, but it's a still service, right? So it has to be produce some sort of goods and services, and then you're talking about the business model. Lowering cost is very important. We're going to talk about this extensively, but lowering cost. You might be asking, lowering cost কিভাবে হয়? Bentley. They're not talking about the lowering cost, but actually, you see, if you talk about all the major brands, they do actually lower their cost. You cannot have, a too expensive solution beyond the value customer gets. Customer value চেয়েও তো আপনি আরো expensive কোনো product দিয়ে একটা value create করতে পারবেন না. There has to be, like value to this. So lowering cost is important at various levels. So you need to deliver your goods and services to the market. Some or other, আপনার productটা কিন্তু reach করতে হবে market-এ. It not necessarily has to be a physical market. It can be a virtual market. Doesn't matter. But it has to be a market, right? There must be a place where the goods and services are there for consumer to pick from. And then, of course, you need to organize activities within the company. You need to organize activities. Procurement কিভাবে হবে, packaging কিভাবে হবে, HR কি হবে, marketing কি হবে. These are activities you need to organize within the company, which means that you need to configure its resources. আপনার কাছে financial resources থাকবে at a company, or maybe একটা land থাকবে, let's say. These are resources. All these resources you need to configure. How are you going to put them all together? আপনি অনেক মানুষ হায়ার করলেন কিন্তু আপনার কাজই কম. That doesn't work, right? So you need to have people, you need to have resources, meaning, properties, machineries, this and that. So then you need to configure how they will work together. And you need to achieve and sustain a high level of profitability, of course. That's the whole point. The whole idea of strategy is, of course, to make sure that you earn profit. And of course, you want to grow your business over time. You guys are following this, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we talk about the people who carry this forward, যেসব মানুষ এগুলি ক্যারি করে, তাদের মধ্যে, if I have to distinguish, there are two types of managers. I'm sure you can read it. These are strategic managers. One is general managers who are responsible for the overall operations. For example, আপনি যদি একটা শপে যান, let's say একটা বাটার শপে গেলেন, বিশাল বড় শপ. You will see one guy, he or she is responsible for the whole branch. I mean, that unit. It's like a general management. ওর কাজ কিন্তু শুধুমাত্র আপনার মার্কেটিং দেখা কিংবা ফাইন্যান্স দেখা না, ওভারঅল সব কিভাবে রান করছে, দ্যাট ইজ জেনারেল ম্যানেজমেন্ট স্কিল, রাইট? বাট রিমেম্বার, জেনারেল ম্যানেজমেন্ট স্কিলটা নট নেসেসারি অ্যাট দ্য ফ্রন্ট লাইন লেভেলে আসে। জেনারেল ম্যানেজমেন্ট রোলটা কিন্তু অনেক টপ লেভেলও হতে পারে, যেমন সিইও। থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট এ সিইও। সিইও ইজ নট অনলি অ্যাবাউট looking into finance or looking into marketing or procurement. It's about everything. The CEO is actually looking into all the overall operations of the business, right? So that is a general management skill set. Our touch a functional skill set, functional managers. I'm sure that is you're familiar with. HR head, finance head, IT head, all these are functional managers. So there are, generally speaking, two types of managers. General managers who actually look into the broad perspective, or functional managers who actually look into the particular things. Like আপনারা যেরকম specialize করতেছেন, হয়তো maybe some of you specializing in HR, some of you doing it in finance, accounts, I don't know, there are not many other major you can do. So these are the functionals, right? If you look at the big companies, globally or locally, globally, দেখলে যে একটু আগে যে এক্সাম্পল দিলাম, you look at Amazon, you get Apple, you get all these big companies, they operate in different divisions. তারা কিন্তু অনেকগুলি ডিভিশনে কাজ করে। ডিভিশন বলতে অনেকগুলি ডিফারেন্ট ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে কাজ করে। যেমন ধরেন অ্যাপল, ডেস্কটপ কিন্তু একটা ডিফারেন্ট ইন্ডাস্ট্রি, ফোন কিন্তু একটা ডিফারেন্ট ইন্ডাস্ট্রি। It's a two different industry altogether. Headphone, as we know that they bought Dr. Dre and then they changed it. Apple, they got this now, all these product for their headphone. That is another industry altogether. আপনি যদি Sony চিন্তা করেন, Sony, right? Sony got everything, consumer electronics. I don't know what they don't have. মনে করেন টেলিভিশন, এখন তো আর player, audio player of course is there, but that's there as well. Sony got phones, Sony got PlayStation, Sony got everything, freeze, তারপরে আপনার সবকিছু তো ওদের কাছে আছে। So there's different divisions, right? All these are different industry. It's a complete industry itself. So there's a multi-divisional company. We call that multi-divisional company. এবং all these different divisions are self-contained. Remember this term, self-contained. বাংলাদেশের এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে বলি, মনে করেন Square, right? Square got hospital, yes? And then Square got pharmaceutical. Square also got toiletries. Now, Square Hospital-এর ওদের নিজস্ব কিন্তু আপনার সবকিছু আছে। ওর নিজস্ব ফাইন্যান্স ইউনিট আছে, মার্কেটিং ইউনিট আছে, I mean HR, right? So they got all these by themselves. ওদের কিন্তু নিজেদেরই সবই হসপিটালটারি। Then if you go to the pharmaceutical, they will have the same. They will have their own finance, they have their own HR, they got their own procurement, they got all these, right? So you see, in a way, all these divisions are self-contained. They are contained by themselves completely. They have all the functionality within that unit. So it looks something like this. So you got head office, like Square Monopoly head office. Then you got division A, which is hospital, division B, pharmaceutical, division C is toiletries, and D, bank, mutual trust bank. You got lots of other things. I'm sure some of you know. It doesn't matter. So the point is, these are the different divisions. এই জন্য এগুলোকে আমরা multi-divisional বলি। Square is a multi-divisional. প্রাণ আরো বেশি multi-divisional. প্রাণের কাছে সবকিছুই আছে। I don't even know what they don't have. They got everything, right? So that is a multi-divisional. And then you have, and then of course, all these divisions, as I said, like hospital, pharmacy, all are self-contained. তার মানে এই সব কিছু ডিভিশনের মধ্যে আবার বিজনেস ফাংশনগুলি ওদের নিয়ে এসো, ফাইন্যান্স ওদের নিয়ে এসো, procurement ওদের নিয়ে এসো, marketing নিয়ে এসো, right? So they got all, own sort of functions within the divisions. Now, and as you know, with those particular divisions, they reach out to the market. They operate in a market. Market to nishchoi tara ase. Market na থাকলে আপনি স্কোয়ার টয়লেট চিনেন কিভাবে, বা আপনি ওই হসপিটালটা চিনেন কিভাবে? বিকজ there in the market of the consumers was looking for the hospitals. আপনি স্কোয়ার না হয় competing with what do you call that hospital, like Apollo তো এখন নাই, Evercare and other thing,
United, sir.
United, yes. So you see, they are in one market, right? Upper middle class market. Remember, that's the market. Square is not for everyone. Square is not like Dhaka Medical. There's a difference. That is the business idea they had, and they are quite successful at this. So they're in that market.
Sir, may I clarify something, sir?
Yes, go on.
Sir, using your example, sir, the self-contained division of Square Pharmaceuticals, Square Hospitals, and Square Toiletries, is it Square Group of Industries, the overall thing?
Okay. Before I answer, I will ask other students. আপনারা কেউ যদি আমার কথাটা বুঝে থাকেন, can anybody argue or tell me what it is?
I guess every division in together the industry of finance. Sorry, আমি ফাইন্যান্স বললাম। স্কোয়ারের প্রত্যেকটা ডিভিশন একসাথে করে হচ্ছে এটাকে, হ্যাঁ ভাই যেটা বললেন যে এটা ওই পুরা ইন্ডাস্ট্রিটাকে বোঝানো হচ্ছে। জি স্যার।